The Cellcast is recorded in front of a live streaming audience.
Hello and welcome to another episode of The Cellcast. Joining me today is a man who, well, he might just have to sleep in the bathtub. Welcome, Jacob.
At least it's better than the kennel. Let's just say that. Why?
I don't know, the kennel may have more room than that house.
That's true. For how many Muppets were in that house?
Yeah.
Good night. Why, thank you. Let me introduce our co-host, a man who, kind of like a certain chef, is getting a turkey confused with a big bird. Welcome, Drew.
You can't tell me if you were going to cook a turkey, and all of a sudden you turn around, there's a giant yellow bird, and you know how many mouths you have to feed.
True.
You would at least think about it.
Possibly. Maybe.
But anyway, how are you doing, Jacob?
Man, I am doing pretty good. Life throws you curveballs, and you just rely on the Lord for things going on, and you move forward, right?
Right.
I had a car issue come up, so I had to put it in the shop. It's been in the shop for about 3
All
days.
week.
Yeah, most of the week. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I've been doing most of the week.
Doing a lot of walking back and forth to work.
Yes.
Thankfully, it's not really that far, though.
No.
Most people may not want to make
Yeah.
that trip.
Most mortal people like the rest of us would be like, don't wait on Earth. I'm not walking 1.5 miles to work.
No comment.
But other than that, it's great. Thanksgiving was fantastic.
Yeah. How was your Thanksgiving?
Thanksgiving was great. Me and my girlfriend Ashley went to my parents' place. Ashley got to meet the entire family, the primary family, at one sitting. She really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. There again, car issues, work. Other than that, I'm looking forward to the weekend. A few things going on. I'll talk about that later. Probably next episode.
Right.
But yeah, doing great, man. It's the second day in December, so we're entering our way closer and closer to Christmas.
Yeah, and you can't tell that looking around
No,
the set. Not at all.
No, the big tree in the right hand top corner of our set.
Right behind my head.
Yeah.
Looks like I got kind of a tree halo kind of
Yeah.
thing. I don't know what you call that.
Yeah, full of Star Trek ships.
There's a lot of Star Trek ships.
A lot of Star Trek.
There's a lot of Doctor Who stuff in there
True.
too.
And
In fact, for those of you Whovians who may find it interesting, you may not want to look. You may want to keep an eye on the top of my tree, as there is a weeping angel up there. Oh no, it's cut off. We're all gonna die. Jacob has no idea what I'm
I know
about.
what a weeping angel is. I've watched a little bit of Tennant's tenure as the Doctor.
I know what you're talking about. It's just a part of me. It's like who knows things and does not want to spoil things for those who have not got caught up yet.
Mm-hmm.
Is trying to keep his mouth shut.
Okay, then.
But you can Google what I'm talking about, so whatever.
Yeah.
Anywho,
so, how are you doing, Drew?
I'm good. Had a good Thanksgiving. Saw the family. Am fed up. I'm tired of eating turkey.
Yep.
But other than that, it was a good trip. Don't get me wrong. The turkey was good. Don't get me wrong. It's just I've had a lot of it in the last 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So I'm ready to move on to something else.
You get a little gobbled out.
Just a touch. But yeah, so Jacob, I have a question for you.
What have you been watching?
All right, so what have I been watching? Actually, a lot, because last week we took a break.
Yeah.
And it's obviously Thanksgiving, and Drew is already out of town. So,
and we do not have holdover episodes recorded yet. We're going to have to set some time apart for that at some point. But until we get to that point, we're just going to skip weeks.
Exactly. So I started watching. There again, for most people to know, I'm a huge history buff. I love watching history documentaries, and I think I just finished a documentary on Netflix, the greatest events of World War II in color.
Mm-hmm.
That is deep. That gets really really deep, and you get to learn a lot more than be like you normally do in a history documentary. Another one I also finished right after that is World War II in color, Road to Victory, also on Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
Because most of the time, like when you watch a documentary, definitely about the end of World War II, when the Soviet Union uh takes Berlin, as in Germany. Yeah, but like you never hear about who the generals were, what was really going on. All you hear about is what's going on with the American side. Well, with this documentary, they actually discuss who these guys were, what their strategy was, and I thought it was
Mm-hmm.
very insightful. And it was very like history opening. It's like, okay, these are actual people, not just be like general mill run of the mill people that because I thought it was fascinating. I thought it was
Yeah.
fascinating. And so I get done with that, and of course Netflix it brings up suggestions.
Mm-hmm.
So a part of history I've never really studied or looked at was the Age of Samurai.
Ah,
Yeah, and
yeah,
the Shogunate.
Shogun. Yeah.
That is fascinating. I started watching a doc. Just finished it actually before I came here. Was Age of Samurai Battle for Japan? It's also on Netflix, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was very eye opening, very insightful historically. Um, it's like yeah, if we're talking about the feudal Japan with the shogunate and the samurai, it's
Mm-hmm.
like yeah, if you had power, like kiss your butt goodbye because apparently someone's going to take you out at some point. And it was very the relationship dynamic between all these men were so unique. And am I saying this right? Seppuku is the
Seppuku.
yeah, seppuku. Yeah, that was just like from a Western viewpoint. I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. Now, Grant, I'd heard of this before, but it was more like
Yeah.
in depth about this. And it was like so much of like men, like honorable, honorably doing seppuku. Am I saying that seppuku?
Seppuku. There's not an R.
Seppuku. So,
Actually, I think it's closer to seppuku, but I'm
yeah,
not gonna. No one's grading
right.
here, so
Right. It was. I mean, like it was very interesting, definitely from a Western perspective. Um, I would almost like into akin if you were to watch something, if you were like an action buff, like an action movie buff, be like, this would be right up your alley because all it is warfare the entire time and war strategy and fights and blood splatter everywhere
mm-hmm.
and a lot of heads coming off, lots of heads rolling. I really, really enjoyed this. Was a really, really good documentary series on Netflix. Highly recommend it. Uh, now I don't know how historically accurate they are because there again, that is not my field of
Expertise.
I wouldn't say expertise really because it's more my field of study in a way when it comes to history.
Mm-hmm.
But it was good. It was very good. It was highly recommended, or it is highly recommended for myself. Let me see. So I finished a there again, I love true crime like I've stated before.
Yeah.
And my lovely girlfriend mentioned a podcast that she had listened to, and it's in the news now. It's right now in the news. The guy who allegedly did it, he is he's on trial right now.
Mm-hmm.
And this is called Down the Hill, the Delphi murders. You can find it on Apple, Spotify, like anywhere you find like our show. You can find it there. And it's really fascinating because it's a case of two girls who go hiking on a bridge, and the next thing you know, their lives are lost. They don't know who did it, what happened. There's no triggers, no MO, no nothing because they're so tight-lipped about it.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's no information what happened to these two. So apparently it was something very horrific.
Hmm.
And so it's interesting now that this guy, they have stuff on this guy about who he is, where he was. And now they got this like modus operandi. I'm probably butchering that word.
Modus operandi.
Thank you. Yeah, Drew's my translator in some capacity.
I'm not the translator. It's just I think it's where pronounced this way because
Yeah,
I do pick up on pronunciations easier than you do.
yeah,
That's all it is.
that is true. All right, so that was interesting. That was a really really good podcast. Definitely, if you're into true crime and something that is currently going on right now in the world of true crime and in trials right now, because that's really big right now. So just so happened I finished season 2 Power Rangers the audio drama, which Drew recommended. And all I have to say is Nate Marchand from dude, you killed it. You killed it as Rito. Oh my gosh.
Wait till you start hearing him in season 3.
Oh my gosh. It was because
actually season 3 has been really good so far.
Oh, okay. But I was listening to it because Nate had told us about like he had a small part or like he got a part for Rito on this, and he let us hear something like what he said. And I was like, that sounds cool, but to actually hear in the audio, and the drama, it's like, oh, that sounds so good because he sounds like it. So Nate, amazing job. Just saying it, amazing job, Nate. Yeah, okay. I cannot wait for season 3. I've got to just catch up.
I need to remember to technically I need to give you the RSS feed because we are a Patreon supporter of those podcasts, including their X-Men one also.
Really?
Yeah. So I need to give you the RSS feed so you can get the extra stuff behind the scenes, because there's one they do after the season 3 episode 1 thing where Ninjor gets involved.
Okay.
That after you hear what they do in the audio drama, because I personally prefer, in terms of performance, I think I prefer the Ninjor from the audio drama over Dudley Do Right.
Oh, okay.
But if you're not following the extra stuff, you're missing the fact that he actually they have 2 versions of the scene. All the scenes involving Ninjor. One where it's the guy doing it on the regular drama, and the other where they have someone saying the same lines but with the Dudley Do Right accent, and it is hilarious.
Oh gosh.
So I need to get you that when you finally get to those episodes.
Nice.
Or I need to give you that anyway. But anyway.
Yeah, so I got done with that. Just kind of heads up, like I've had a cold for the last like week and a half.
Hey, you sound fine.
Yeah, thanks. But
I think you do.
Well, thanks, appreciate it. I hope our listeners I sound good too. And the last thing I want to bring up, my wonderful girlfriend also brought up this other podcast. We have one of our big commonalities is true crime, so we both love listening to true crime. I know that's not everybody's cup of tea, but this is something we love talking about.
I just know that I don't ever need to make either one of y'all mad, or I will be on one of these true crime podcasts.
That is true. Oh my gosh.
Y'all been studying all the techniques.
Yeah, let's just say that Ashley she has told me when she goes to sleep, she puts in her earbuds and she listens to a true crime podcast to make her sleep. So to me, that's kind of disturbing. But cool, but kind of disturbing. So again, another true crime podcast. If you're interested in those kind of things, What Makes a Killer is there again. It's on any podcast catcher directory that you listen to, like you listen to Cellcast. So other than that, that is all I've been watching and listening to. What about you, Drew?
So I don't remember if Black Panther Wakanda Forever had come out before our last episode, but I don't think I talked about it.
No, you didn't.
That's okay because I saw it again over Thanksgiving weekend.
Nice.
That is a good movie.
Okay.
It handles I wanted to say Don Cheadle, but it's not Don Cheadle, it's Chadwick Boseman.
Chadwick Boseman. Yes.
And that's not any that's just names getting tongue tied in my head. That's all
Yes.
that was. But Chadwick Boseman, they handled Chadwick Boseman's death fairly well. I know some people would have preferred they showed maybe some more on screen, but honestly, what are you going to do?
Exactly.
But as a story of grief
Mm-hmm.
that Shuri goes through, I think it's done very well at how it consumes her nation, her need for revenge in some way, or at least feeling like she can getting her place where she can lash out.
Yeah.
But also the fact that the movie has Namor in it also.
Yeah.
And they changed Namor's background.
Okay.
In the comics, I think he's Atlantean, which technically makes him Greek.
Yeah.
Technically, or Roman, Latin anyway. They changed it to South America off the coast of the Yucatan Peninsula, so they're Mayan, basically. And so it's a lot of these Mayan type areas that are underwater, and he's Namor. Namor has never been exactly the best. He's not exactly a hero.
Yeah.
He's Marvel's oldest superhero.
Yeah.
And he's not even really a hero most of the time. He's kind of sometimes he's a hero, sometimes he's a villain. It's whatever's best for his nation of whatever the nation is in the comics. Atlantis. It's not like they could use Atlantis because that's already being used by Aquaman, which is ironic because Namor was created before Aquaman was, and Aquaman was actually a knockoff of Namor. But beside the point.
Also, Atlantis is open copyright because it's been around for
right. But I understand why.
Years.
I understand why Marvel would want to change that for this universe, just so that people weren't directly comparing the two characters, if for no other reason. Also, this is a minority people in the world generally, much like the Africans are. So it's two minorities fighting each other.
Yeah,
in a way. Or so I did think that even with those changes, I thought they did a very good job of what little I know about Namor. I have read one single Namor comic, and that was his very, very first one because it's on the Marvel Unlimited app. But I thought they did a good job with it and how they handled both of their need for revenge.
Got it.
And how they had to eventually. Well, I'm not going to spoil the end of the movie.
Yeah, please don't spoil
definitely go watch it. It's actually a very, very good film. There is only a mid-credit scene. There's not an after-credit scene, but you definitely want to stay for the mid-credit scene. That's all I'm going to say there, because that's not the only Marvel thing that I watched.
Really?
Over Thanksgiving weekend, because as soon as we got home, we went on to Disney Plus and watched the other big Marvel release that happened this month, the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special.
Yeah.
AKA Drax and Mantis kidnap
Kevin
Bacon. Ironically, in David Crowder's house.
I heard about that.
That was filmed in his house, apparently. But that is just a lot of fun.
Oh, wow.
It's not as serious. It's a holiday special. It's much like the one we're recording tonight. There's not any big negative, horrible, dramatic stuff happening other than there is a reveal that occurs between two characters. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay.
But after having seen the trailer for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 that released, I now understand why they felt the holiday special had to come out first.
Okay.
Because it does connect in some stuff.
Okay.
But yeah, I watched that. That was fun. I also watched when I got back, I went over to our buddy Chase's and we watched an anime, as we sometimes always do. And this one was a couple episodes of I was reincarnated as a sword.
Okay.
It is an isekai, as you can probably guess from that
Okay.
title. It's actually a very good story. It
Oh.
does have the isekai tropes, but they're like they flash by and then they get to the good stuff.
Okay.
It's a very fun, very good story. It's got a very interesting concept for a world.
Hmm.
It's still video game based, like a lot of these are, but I mean, it's an interesting way to handle that.
Yeah.
Uh, other than that, the only other thing I've been watching is Common Rider
Ah,
for reasons I'll get to later.
gotcha.
So, yeah, that's what I have been watching. Other than a couple of things I bet we're going to talk about in the news.
The Cellcast News with your host Jacob Heron.
Why, thank you, Dealit. Oh man, it has been busy news wise.
Yeah.
So let's get into the news, shall we? So when I say Oswald, what do you automatically think of?
I already know what you're referring to.
Yeah.
Which is not helping this in the slightest.
No.
Oswald, actually, I can tell you what the first thing I think of when you say Oswald, and that is Oswald Cobblepot, aka the Penguin. But I know that's not who you're referring to.
Exactly.
You're actually referring to the very first cartoon character of the Walt Disney Corporation, made for, I believe, Universal
Mm-hmm.
at the time, which was Oswald the Lucky Rabbit.
Yes.
That had been owned by Universal pretty much up until about, what was it, 10, 15, 11, 12 years ago, somewhere in
2009.
there? 2009?
2009.
Right, in preparation for the video game Disney Epic Mickey.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen a couple of the shorts, but they're still not on Disney Plus because I think while the character rights have gone back, I don't think many of the rights to the cartoons have made the transition.
Not yet.
I don't think so. They're not displayed on Disney Plus just yet, but
No.
I have seen a couple in certain locations.
Mm-hmm.
They're good cartoons from that era.
Yeah. Well, they just released a new Oswald the Lucky Rabbit short, right?
Yeah, the first one in like 100 years.
94 years.
Nearly 100 years.
Nearly 100 years. Yeah. So Oswald back. Disney premiered the new animated short starring the 94-year-old character, directed by famed animator Eric Goldberg. How to Stay at Home, Pocahontas, Fantasia 2000. Yeah, so it's available on YouTube today or now, so you can go watch it there. I watched it. It's funny. It's very reminiscent of the time in which Oswald was around, and it's hand drawn. It's a hand drawn animation. So I thought that was cool.
Just as a quick bit of trivia involving Oswald the Lucky Rabbit, it was Walt Disney Corporation losing the rights to that character that caused them to have to create Mickey Mouse.
Exactly.
And then never give those rights to anybody because they learned their lesson.
Yeah, because what was it? A couple of years, like I think it was like this year or something like that. They were trying to like put Mickey Mouse in the public domain.
They've been trying that for the past 40, 50 years, and every time Disney successfully convinces them to extend the rate of copyright, which is why we're up to 70 plus years after the death of the creator.
Yeah.
And it's around the time again that what is the name of that cartoon? Steamboat Willie is about old enough again to make it into public domain. So of course they're trying to keep it from going public domain.
That is true.
Now, granted, while that may mean going public domain would mean they would lose the exclusive rights to the short, they would still own all the rights to the character of Mickey Mouse because that is the company's trademark. Unlike some of the other characters in there, it may give them problems when referring to what is the cat's name? That's the villain in a lot of those. Jim Cummings voices him now.
Oh,
He was on Goof Troop.
the cat. The cat. Oh,
Pete.
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 the
Why
cat.
couldn't I think of
Yeah,
Pete?
Pete the cat.
Pete the cat.
I was thinking he's a dog, but he's a cat.
He's actually a cat. They might give him trouble with Pete because Pete is the other major character in there, along with some of the background characters most people don't remember, like Clarabelle.
Clarabelle.
She's got a longer name, and I can't remember what it is. But anyway, but still, I mean, who's going to fight you over some of these? They own the rights to those characters.
Yeah,
they just want to have exclusive rights to the cartoon itself.
Exactly.
Which is ironic considering the thing's old enough; it should be in public domain by now.
Very true.
Oh no! What's funny is that while they are trying to keep that in, they no longer have exclusive rights to another certain lovable, huggable character,
Winnie the Pooh.
Yes, because blood and honey is a thing.
Yeah, I saw that. I was like, Jim and knees. I would not recommend going to watch this over the trailer.
But there's a part that's like, I will watch this. I will hate this, but I will watch this because I have to. This is a train wreck that I will not want to stare at, but I will not be able to look away from.
Oh my gosh.
It's being done because you can.
You can, because the copyright is...
Because Disney doesn't own the copyright to the characters. It's been licensed since they made the first Winnie the Pooh shorts. And now Disney doesn't hold any control over it anymore, other than their own movies.
Yep, exactly. All right, so apparently there's this a new movie coming out. I want to just let you guys in on this, what's going on. The Amazing Maurice. It is a movie coming out from straight from... Oh, no wonder this makes sense. You know, when you write notes or you copy paste notes, you don't read them fully. It's like, oh, okay, that's something I did today, so I'm just reading it right now. Apparently,
you didn't read the article before you put it in
I
notes.
read the article, but I didn't fully read the article.
You skimmed the article.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. So apparently, this is a Terry Pratchett Discworld coming through the big world.
What did you say the name of the movie was? Or have you said the name?
The Amazing Maurice.
And his rats.
Yeah, and his rats.
I have not actually read this book yet, but that is a Discworld book.
Yeah. That's what I keep...
Oh, my word.
I saw that. I was like, wait a minute, Terry Pratchett? It's like, oh, I know what you're talking about now.
Yeah.
Because I have family members are like, oh my gosh, yes.
This is going to be a trip no matter what it is.
Exactly. So this movie will be hitting theaters in the United States on February 3rd, 2023. A fresh trailer has dropped featuring the brilliant con man cat and a helpless human catch up with his scores. Summary: Maurice is a streetwise ginger cat who comes up with a money-making scheme by befriending a group of talking rats. When Maurice and the rodents... All right, so G Kids has announced that they are releasing New Gods Ying Jun. I'm probably mispronouncing it, but I apologize for that. Apparently, it is from the powerhouse Japanese animated studio, Lightning Chaser Animation. And apparently, it is being released in America with an English dub, January 20th, 2023. Apparently, it's a follow-up to... Apparently, this is the second installment of the studio's New God series of animated fantasy epics inspired by Japanese mythological
creatures.
Figures. Let's say that right. Figures.
You're trying to combine figure and creature into the same
I was.
word.
I am terrible at speaking. All right. So I think we mentioned before there was a news trailer for the Super Mario Brothers movie coming out from Illumination, and
and we didn't get
Nintendo?
and we did not get a chance to react to this one just because of the timetable
Exactly.
on it. So let's just go ahead and give our thoughts on that real quick. I am feeling a little bit better about Chris Pratt's voice for Mario.
Oh,
I will say that it is missing an energy that Charles Martinet's performance usually has.
right.
And when you hear the other language versions, especially of the Yahoo or
Mhm.
Wahoo, as he says, it is everyone else has got the energy, and for some reason, Chris Pratt's version doesn't. And I don't know why that is.
Mm.
But the rest of the thing, it's like, oh my word. The Mario Kart sequence alone.
Yes.
I
Oh my
want to
gosh.
see how they fit this into this adventure movie they're bringing into this.
Yeah, agreed.
I need explanations for how there's already a cart that's obviously Mario's,
Mm-hmm.
when it's very obvious Mario came from a Brooklyn like location before he came to the Mushroom Kingdom.
Mm.
I need explanations, and I am looking forward to finding these out in April.
So yeah, the new trailer came out. Let us know down in the comments down below where you're watching this.
Also, I like Peach's voice. She sounded very good in this.
Agreed. Also, I'm kind of type be like, if you hear a new voice and everybody's be like, well, it's not the original voice. I always like give it a chance when it comes to theaters.
Yeah.
Because we're only hearing like small little bits pieces.
Yeah,
of
we're not hearing it in context yet.
Exactly.
I will say this, and I'm just a little uneasy because everyone else it already seems to fit, even in this limited context.
Okay.
Granted, 15 minutes into the movie, I will be fine. It just also feels like they're being what few lines Mario has had to say in these trailers
Mm-hmm.
is they're very short lines.
Yeah.
And I wonder, is he not? Because granted, in the games, Mario talks less than everybody else does traditionally.
Mm-hmm.
Even in the, I don't just mean like in the platformers. And
Yeah.
stuff. The RPGs, like Super Mario RPG, Legend of the Seven Stars, and all the Paper Mario stuff.
Yeah.
Luigi is a chatterbox.
Mm-hmm.
Mario never says anything outside of yeah or wahoo. The normal Mario stuff.
Right.
And then Luigi, he'll have his little thing, and then his text box will be like a paragraph, War and Peace length novel of, we've got to go save the so and so from the Who's-a-What's-its and stop that evil Lord Bowser. Unless you're playing Super Paper Mario, and then it becomes, you left me, brother. You left. I don't have a brother. I served Count Black or whatever. Super Paper Mario is an amazing game, and I can't believe people don't know what it is. Luigi gets brainwashed into thinking he's doesn't have a brother.
Oh, fun.
And is working for the villains.
Oh. That sounds interesting.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Anyway.
Yeah, so going into a movie everybody thought was going to be really good is now getting panned. Let me explain.
Strange World?
Strange World.
I haven't watched it yet.
Me either. I haven't either. I'm hoping to watch it at some point, but just haven't got around to it yet.
It's just life.
Huh?
That's just life.
Exactly. We all get distracted by life. Thanksgiving was
if they wouldn't release stuff like this Thanksgiving weekend or the week, I think it's actually the weekend before Thanksgiving.
Yeah,
but that's still busy time. I mean, really anything between Halloween and January is like too busy for us to schedule anything.
That is true, but also that's very prime time to go watch with kids. And apparently this movie's just bombing in theaters. So
I've heard it's bombing too. I wonder if they just did not think this one through.
Probably not.
I mean, from my perspective, granted, I've seen 2 trailers.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great concept, but I have no idea how they're gonna pull it off.
Yeah,
and it doesn't sound like they've executed it very well.
No, it doesn't.
Which makes me worry if we might be heading back into another dark era of Disney where they just aren't putting out a lot of good stuff.
Another Bronze Age.
Well, I'm thinking of stuff like the early 80s where they had a lot of stuff that wasn't received well at the very least, whether it's quality is another matter.
In the early 2000s.
And in the early 2000s, we had one of those. And I'm wondering if now with Tangled and Frozen and Wreck-It Ralph and Big Hero 6, all these big things have hit, and they're already starting to do sequels, which is almost unheard of for Disney.
Mm-hmm.
And some of them are okay, are doing good. Some of them are not doing good.
Uh-huh.
I worry if maybe Disney is just not sure what sells anymore.
Right, possibly. All right, so let's
Great. Like I said, I'm not talking about the quality of these movies. I'm talking about how well they're performing at the box office.
True. Very true. So let's get into the what the news says about this. Family audiences haven't been too eager to go watch Disney's Strange World this holiday weekend so far. According to industry traders, the sci-fi fantasy only made about $2.5 million on Tuesday and an estimated 4.2 million on that Wednesday, putting on track for an estimated $23 million for the first 5 days of the holiday. However, the film looks like to cap about 18.6 million with a $5 million Friday and a $4.3 million on Saturday. The film is not doing very well overseas for reasons here or there. Not again the full spoilers for the film. Where in primary markets of Russia, China, France, Middle East, Mongolia, and Indonesia, and several other territories, the film has only managed to eke out a measly 28 million globally right now. That is because this movie, it was like $180 million to make, almost 200 million. And apparently Disney sticking to their guns with certain things is not helping with their global distribution of this film. So to end off news, there again, this is not animated at all. This is, I think it's more personal for guys like us.
Yeah.
So last Sunday we lost Jason David Frank, also known as the Green Ranger from Mighty Morphin
That
Power
was
Rangers.
not last Sunday. That was 2 Sundays ago.
2 Sundays ago. I apologize. So I just wanted to give a shout out. Be like, that was utterly shocking for most of us who definitely grew up watching Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. So yeah, just wanted to give it a little shout out, hit the little figure on our stage right now in memory of JDF.
You know what's ironic?
What's that?
The episode of Monster on Film Vault we recorded most recently on Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
Yeah.
Is the first episode of the Monster on Film Vault that's gonna come out after he passed.
Wow.
Not planned at all, of course.
Wasn't.
And in fact, I still don't think it's out, but that will be out as soon as he can get finished with it, I'm sure. But yeah. That is crazy.
Yeah, agreed.
And Jason David Frank will definitely be missed.
Agreed. Yeah. You know, thoughts and prayers go to his family and all the fan base out there, because that was devastating.
Yeah, and it was confirmed now that it was suicide. So we should say that, you know, if you are contemplating suicide, definitely call the suicide hotline. I don't remember the number. 899. Thank you. And yeah, because that's you are loved. Go listen to Geek Devotions, guys.
Yeah.
They'll definitely make you feel loved.
Exactly.
In fact, they just recently put out a Green Ranger.
They did
devotion. So
yeah, they did.
Yeah.
So yeah, be like, yeah, like I always try to say, you're not alone. You're not alone in this. If you're struggling with thoughts, please go to talk to somebody. Like Drew said, you're loved. There's a ton of people out there who want to talk to you. If you're a Christian or not, go get help.
Yeah.
If you are dealing with those thoughts, just go talk to somebody. That's all we ask.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that's the end of the news.
All right. Well, then let's jump into the spoiler-free section of our review for the Muppets Family Christmas.
Certified fresh and spoiler-free.
Not that there's much to spoil, if we're being honest.
No.
This is not exactly a very heavy movie.
No.
It is literally it is a Christmas special in every sense of the word you can think of. That is not Star Wars, although the Star Wars one was trying to go for this kind of also. I am convinced I saw this at some point, maybe just I changed the channel and it was on because I remember distinctly the Fraggle Rock section of this.
Yeah.
But I had not seen it. The reason it ended up on the list is I happened to catch a Nostalgia Critic review of this, and it just looked like this was just a happy, fun time. And I kind of had a feeling after Studio Ghibli, we needed something light.
Yeah. It's not to say Studio Ghibli movies you're not.
No, but I mean they're usually denser than a lot of films. And plus, when we were originally scheduling all this, I thought we were ending on Tales from Earthsea before schedule changed. And let's just say that's not what I'm looking forward to next year. From what I understand, we'll get there when we get there. But this just looked like it would be a fun little holiday movie.
Yeah,
just to kind of, start off the season happy with a little bit of joy.
Exactly.
And yeah, I actually did very much enjoy this. I will say, if you're going to look for it, there are 2 different cuts that you will find on YouTube, and we chose the wrong one.
Apparently.
Or I chose the wrong one anyway, because I'm the one who found the video.
Yeah.
There's one where it got cut down for, I think, some commercials, and it was like on a cable network, I think. So they cut it like shorter than they normally would have been cut for commercials to add in more. And then there's the original version, I think, that aired on, was it CBS? ABC. That makes me even more sense. But yeah, go find the longer version, the one that's 55 minutes long, because we saw the 45-minute long version.
True.
Anyway, what are your thoughts?
My thoughts, first time I ever seeing this, it was a pleasant surprise, definitely with a lot of the reveals. I'm like, oh, there again, this movie came out in 84.
Yeah.
Or it was a TV special back in 84.
84 or 87?
87, I believe. 87.
Okay. I thought it was 87.
Yeah, 1987. I might be wrong, but we'll get there when we get there.
Right.
Info and stuff. But I really enjoy this. I watch it. I'm like blown freaking away. It's like, oh my gosh, they're bringing in Sesame Street. They're bringing in the Fraggles. And the Fraggles blew my mind. I was like, what? Are you kidding me? They're bringing these characters in. And far as I understand, my limited scope of the Muppet world, be like, these characters have never crossed over except for, I think it was like the Sesame Street Gang were in
the Sesame Street Gang were in the final episode of the Muppet Show. And of course they were cameo appearances of Big Bird and Oscar the Grouch in both the Muppet Movie and the Great Muppet Caper.
There we go.
And then nearly every Muppet, both from Sesame Street and the Muppet Show, were in the wedding scene at the end of
there we go.
Muppets Take Manhattan. And then pretty much one of them was in the Muppet Movie, also in that final scene, because that's the one where they had to get so many puppeteers to handle every single Muppet on stage.
Yeah.
In fact, I think Tim Burton was one of those puppeteers, if I remember correctly, in that scene. But anyway,
yeah, really enjoyed it. It was a pleasure and a treat to watch it. It's definitely not a heavy story. It's a Christmas tale. It's a Christmas story where Muppets get together and cause mayhem and have a Christmas spirit about it. Yeah, highly recommend it. Go watch it where you can, because this is definitely not coming back.
No, and I will go ahead and tell you the reason. Muppets are owned by Disney. Sesame Street, I believe, is either completely owned by HBO now, which means it's Warner Brothers. And then the Fraggles, which apparently there is a new Fraggle Rock show. I did not know this until I was doing research. They are owned by Jim Henson. all three of these companies are not, they're not diametrically opposed per se, but it's going to take an act of God to get them to work together on this,
especially
and
Disney and Warner Brothers.
And they're never going to, this is never going to get released. I think, again, I am actually surprised that I think it's only because of the pre-existing deals that they have not been forced to be edited out of or at least the Sesame Street gang hasn't been forced to be edited out of the Muppet movie and it's all their other appearances and that stuff.
Yeah,
because they have been edited out of the Muppet Show.
Really?
The final episode that I mentioned.
Yeah.
It ends on them singing "Can You Tell Me How to Get to Sesame Street" with all the Sesame Street characters showing up.
Huh.
It's cut.
Huh.
All you get is one little shot of Cookie Monster.
Huh. Interesting.
Because he has the same eyes as Marty Feldman.
Huh.
You don't know who Marty Feldman is, do you?
No, I don't.
You still haven't watched Young Frankenstein yet, have you?
No, I haven't.
Because he's Igor in that.
Oh, okay.
He's got one eye that looks that direction,
and
another eye that looks that direction, and the guy is so comfortable with it, with the fact that he's got, those kind of eyes that plenty of jokes are made at it, and he's fine with it. He makes jokes about it himself.
Okay.
But anyway.
All right.
But I think that's going to be it for
the
spoiler-free section. But a few spoilers there are. Join us on the other side, and we will get to spoiling this thing.
This podcast is a proud member of Culture Box. Whether you enjoy geeky reviews, comedy, or original fiction, you can open up the Culture Box and find something excellent for your soul. Point your web browser to culturebox.media.
This week, we suggest checking out the Untold Podcast, which is a speculative fiction podcast using the genres of sci-fi, fantasy, and horror, among others, in order to engage the culture's imagination from a Christian worldview. Every month, Nathan James Norman produces and narrates a new story presented in a unique and dynamic way. Check out the Untold Podcast at theuntoldpodcast.com to listen and leave a review on Apple Podcasts.
The Cellcast would like to thank the following patrons: Josh Adams, Ashley Ruiz, Book of Gaming.
And
To get your name on the show, plus uncut episodes, early access to the Cellcast Plus reviews and special art from Jacob, please donate to us on Patreon.
And I will say on that Untold Podcast, they have a Christmas episode they did a couple years back called White, spelled W-I-G-H-T, like the ghost. White Christmas. It is very good. Suggests if you're looking for a nice, maybe horror themed Christmas story involving Mrs. Claus.
Okay.
Fighting ghosts.
Okay.
Give that go. I think that's exactly what it was. Go give that a shot. That was a great episode. So yeah. Let's go ahead and get into the review. The following is a spoiler-filled review for the film The Muppet Family Christmas. Listener discretion is advised. Somewhat. The Muppet Family Christmas was directed by Peter Harris, who directed many episodes of the Jim Henson Hour, and Eric Till, who directed episodes of Fraggle Rock, and was written by Jerry Jewell. Getting into the cast, of course, we've got Jim Henson as Kermit the Frog, Rolf the Dog, Dr. Teeth, Swedish Chef, Waldorf, Ernie, Guy Smiley, the Newsman, and he cameos as himself at the end of the film. He also played a bunch of the goblins in Labyrinth.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah. Frank Oz was, of course, Fozzie Bear, Animal, Miss Piggy, Bert, Grover, Cookie Monster, and Sam the Eagle. And in the movie Inside Out, he played subconscious guard Dave. Dave Goelz, who voiced the Great Gonzo, Dr. Bunsen Honeydew, Boober Fraggle, Zoot, Beauregard, and Uncle Traveling Matt, he played subconscious guard Frank in Inside Out. If you didn't catch the joke there, Frank played Dave, Dave played Frank. I find this hilarious. Richard Hunt voiced Scooter, Janice, Statler, Beaker, Gladys the Cow, Two-Headed Monster, and the Snowman. And he played the characters of Charlie, Lizard, and George Rabbit in Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas,
Oh my gosh, yeah.
which we are going to probably do next year.
Probably.
I probably should have put it on the list this year. Jerry Nelson was Emily Ma Bear, Robin the Frog, Sergeant Floyd Pepper, Count Von Count, Harry Monster, the other side of Two-Headed Monster, Gobo Fraggle, and Camilla the Chicken. And he was the voice of Emmett Otter, Weasel, and Doc Bullfrog in Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas.
There we go.
Catherine Mullen was the voice of Moki Fraggle. And in the movie Heat, she played a character named Doreen Daniel.
Okay.
Karen Prell was the voice of Red Fraggle and Maureen the Mink. And I had a hard time finding stuff for her that was not Muppet related.
Okay.
But in something called The Great Bong, she played Little Bong.
Okay.
I have no idea what this is.
Okay.
Steve Whitmire. He was the turkey, Rizzo the rat, Wembley Fraggle, and Sprocket the dog, along with Lips. He would later go on to be the voice of Kermit the Frog for many years, actually taking a bunch of Jim Henson's roles after he passed.
Yeah.
But he also played a character named Weldon the IT guy in a show called Cave-In.
Okay.
After he got kicked out of the Muppets. Carol Spinney was the voice of Big Bird and Oscar the Grouch. And as you can imagine, that takes up most of his filmography, because that's mostly what he did, was those two characters. But he also played a character named Mr. Lion in Bozo's Big Top back in the 1960s.
Oh, okay.
David Redman, who was the voice of Miss Piggy's photographer in this, is the current voice of Scooter, Janice, and Beaker.
Huh.
And Gerard Parks, who played Doc in this, the old man from Fraggle Rock.
Yeah.
He played another character named Doc in the Boondock Saints.
Oh.
And Kingdom Hearts connections. You want to take a guess?
2.
No.
1.
No.
0.
Yep, there was nothing.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Absolutely cotton picking nothing. I tried. I haven't been doing the Smash Brothers ones that often anymore.
Right.
I looked there too, just in case. Nothing.
Okay, then.
So what do we got in info and stuff?
All right. So
The movie came out in 1987 on ABC. That's about all we know.
pretty much, you nearly stole all my thunder there, pal. Thank you very much.
I'm sorry.
All right. So IMDb, I feel like you took 2 of them. That was about it.
There's probably only 3 things.
IMDb, it is a 8.3 out of 10.
8.3 out of 10.
Yes. Production was Jim Henson Productions,
Mm-hmm.
distributed by Jim Henson Productions and ABC Network. Its release date was November. Why am I thinking November? It's December 16th, 1987. It was released on DVD and Blu-ray, or DVD and VHS, but heavily edited.
Right. Edited because the rights issues were already hitting them during the DVD era. After Disney bought the Muppets.
Exactly.
And Sesame Street was already not playing ball before they got bought by HBO.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anyway.
That's it.
That's about what I figured.
Uh-huh.
Getting into the summary. Fozzie Bear's driving many of the Muppets to his mother Emily's farm for Christmas while they all sing We Need a Little Christmas. Unbeknownst to Fozzie, Emily Bear is preparing to go to Malibu for the holiday and rent her farmhouse to Doc and Sprocket, who went to spend a nice quiet Christmas in the country. Doc and Sprocket have arrived when Fozzie and the other Muppets enter, disrupting Emily and Doc's plans for the holidays. Just then, Miss Piggy calls to tell Kermit the Frog that she is at a photo session and will be late, making Kermit very worried. Rolf the dog and the Swedish chef arrive, and they begin to prepare for Christmas. Meanwhile, Fozzie builds a snowman outside, and the snowman comes to life, singing along with Fozzie and putting on a comedy act with him. After the performance, Fozzie goes into the house where he tells Kermit about the new act. This is interrupted by Miss Piggy calling again when she tells Kermit that she is doing a little Christmas shopping before she goes to the farmhouse. Sometime later, the gang watches a home movie of themselves as babies during the first Christmas together. I really hope it's not longer than the version we actually saw, because that was hilarious how quick it was.
It was a lot longer, apparently.
That's sad. A group of carolers then arrive, consisting of Big Bird and the rest of the Sesame Street Muppets. All the Muppets continue to prepare for Christmas as the news comes on TV. On TV, the Muppet Newsman reports that the worst blizzard in 50 years is approaching the area. Kermit realizes that Miss Piggy is out in the storm and gets more worried about her. Fozzie and Emily go over where everyone is going to sleep. Big Bird and Cookie Monster will sleep in the attic. Harry Monster will sleep in the bathtub, and Ernie and Bert will bunk with Kermit. The Sesame Street Muppets perform a pageant of 'Twas the Night Before Christmas, where the two-headed monster portrays Santa Claus, because he never got to act before. Kermit then gets a third call from Piggy, stating that her limo got stuck in the snow and that she is calling for a taxi. Fozzie approaches Kermit, saying that now's a good time to show him his new comedy act with the snowman, but their act is cut short, no thanks to Statler and Waldorf, who are friends with Emily. Feeling some sympathy for Kermit, Doc offers to go out looking for Piggy. Kermit is called to the basement, where he and his nephew Robin find a Fraggle hole and the Fraggles. Finally, after Piggy makes her grand entrance, riding a dog sled with Doc, all the Muppets sing a medley of carols, and swap presents, except Oscar the Grouch, who just sits in his trash can, sighing very miserably due to his hatred of Christmas. Doc then comes in dressed as Santa, giving presents to the Muppets. At the very end, Jim Henson himself makes a cameo appearance, preparing to wash and dry the dishes with Sprocket. Meanwhile, Kermit and Piggy kiss under the mistletoe, wishing the home audience a Merry Christmas. Getting into the trivia. This is the second known Muppet production to feature the Muppets associated with all four of the major Muppet franchises, being The Muppet Show, Sesame Street, Fraggle Rock, and Muppet Babies, as puppets here. The first being The Muppets, a celebration of 30 years in 1986. Though the special may seem easily found online, it is actually quite the opposite. The original television airing had numerous scenes and songs that have been removed from U.S. video release due to the rights of the characters and franchises being dispersed among different companies. The Muppets no longer share affiliation with Sesame Street, and the Fraggles, as of the time writing of this trivia thing, were laid dormant. There is now a new show. Therefore, the special cannot air on television without obtaining licenses, and the home video releases have to be heavily altered to avoid any legal disputes. In other countries, the original uncut version can still be found, but still incredibly rare, and is sold for upwards of $100 through online auctions. At the end of Deck the Halls, Big Bird says, "I love carols." Big Bird was, of course, voiced by Carol Sweeney. It's a horrible pun.
Horrible.
In the scene where Kermit and Robin encounter the Fraggles, they seem not to know what Christmas is, which ties in with the Fraggle Songs 1983 episode, The Bells of Fraggle Rock. Lastly, the line Oscar refuses to sing in Deck the Halls is "Follow me in merry measure," which makes sense because he is a grouch. He's not very merry.
True.
That's the end of my trivia. What is your first like for this?
My first like for this very, very, very merry movie was, or is actually.
Knowing what I know, I expect I know what one of your likes is.
Yeah.
But continue.
The monumental crossover with this film, our television special, was absolutely mind-blowing. To, like, obviously the Muppet show, the Muppet showing up when Fozzie's mom is on the way out.
Yeah.
She's like her Airbnb guy has already showed up.
She is literally doing a skipping Christmas, a Christmas with the Cranks scenario. She is going on a cruise. Or not a cruise. She's going to California, but still.
She was this close to getting out until everybody ransacks her house.
Yeah.
But I enjoy that because you get there again, be like, it's okay, it's just another Muppet movie. Great. And then the Sesame Street gang shows up. I'm like, how in the world are they getting room for all these characters?
Yeah.
And then the one that got me, and I'll bring up my favorite later, but this one got me when what is Kermit's nephew's name?
Robin.
Robin. So when Robin goes down to the basement, he's calling for his uncle Kermit to come down and be like, start talking about Fraggles. I'm like, no way on earth they got Fraggles in this movie. Because I've never be like, it is uncanny to think, be like, all of this was in one movie. And sure enough, they're Fraggles. There again, I had not heard of a Fraggle until a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
On a little YouTube channel called Toy Galaxy, who did a review over them. And I'm like, they actually exist. They're Fraggles. Oh my gosh, this is freaking cool.
Yeah.
Or like watching like the opening to the show, I remember as a kid, but that was it. Excuse me. But I was like, this is freaking cool. This is like monumentally amazing that this little point in time on ABC, they got all four of these franchise that come together on one special to do this, and it's just monumentally amazing. And Muppet Babies, but puppets. Okay, wasn't a fan of Muppet Babies. Oh, moving on.
I figure that's going to come up eventually because that has to be one of your likes. How quick our version of it was. Like literally, it's like, "Aw, we all look so cute," and there's Animal busting right through the screen. It's like, wow, that was a whole 1 second. That to me was funny.
I do remember that scene. That's right.
I never
like, oh, we're so cute. There's Animal. That's like, okay,
and that's over. It's like, I really hope that's all there is. I really want that to be the entire thing they ever did.
No, it wasn't.
Which is, yeah. That was hilarious to me. How at least on our edit,
yeah,
how quick it was. It's like, yeah, this is here because we need it, and we're done.
Yeah, pretty much. But I thoroughly enjoyed the idea that you had all four of these come together for one special that is never going to get duplicated again unless by the miracle of the Lord they like come together and do it again, but highly doubt it.
Considering Disney barely knows what to do with the Muppets now anyway.
That is true, but it was wonderful to watch. That's my first.
So my first like on this is going to come with a little bit of a story.
Okay.
While the Muppets did take up a big portion of my childhood growing up,
yeah,
a lot of it did start though with Sesame Street.
Okay.
And I enjoyed Sesame Street as a kid growing up. It was a great show.
Yeah.
Probably there's still like the little cartoon shorts that still go through my mind, like when I'm counting 1 to 10.
Yeah.
Or really 1 to 12 is the one I'm thinking of with the little ball rolling around. You know the one I'm talking about?
I didn't watch
Never
Sesame
mind.
Street growing up.
Never mind. But of all of the Muppet characters, there was one Muppet that after this character got added, the show went downhill, in my opinion.
Okay.
And almost every character that they introduced after that point had some bit of this character in it, because they're obviously playing off the popularity of this one character. Now, granted, it was the popularity. The character wasn't for me because I find this character annoying. But that character, while probably still very early on since he showed up, is in this movie.
Okay.
And I am so happy that Elmo has no lines in this film. He's there and he doesn't get to say a word outside of singing them stupid songs. I'm not saying the songs are stupid, you know what I mean. But it's like, yes, Elmo had to shut his trap for the whole movie. Thank you. I hate you, Elmo. Elmo is my most hated character, and every bit of what I don't like about Sesame Street, the new Sesame Street characters that came after its creation, is because they all are somewhat based on what made Elmo popular. And because everyone has this sort of thing.
Right.
You have that one thing. It's like, this is what ruined it. Elmo is that thing because Elmo is the most annoying character the Muppets ever made.
Okay, so I've got to say something with that. So there again, I did not grow up watching Sesame Street at all, but I did grow up watching Turtles.
Mhm.
So the 1989
Elmo is the Venus de Milo of the Sesame
No.
Street,
No.
except people liked Elmo for some reason.
Yeah. Let me finish. So with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles from 1990, the movie,
Yeah.
you know who voiced Splinter?
Yes, I do.
Elmo.
It's the guy who voiced
Elmo.
Elmo. It's Kevin Clash.
Yes.
And that's the thing. Kevin Clash does a lot of Muppet stuff too later on, because by this time he had joined the Muppet Performers, at least the
Right.
Sesame Street stuff. But he will voice a couple characters when they started Muppets Tonight, that TV show.
Mhm.
So it's not like he's not involved. It's
Yeah.
just, and Kevin Clash, I think, actually does a good job in the acting department.
Yeah.
It's just that his most famous character is one I absolutely hate.
Yeah. Me hearing that voice is like, that's a little much. Just a
Yes.
little bit.
Elmo says that Leonardo, Raphael, and Donatello, and which one am I missing? I'm missing one.
You're not
Y'all
missing-
need to go out and defeat Shredder.
Like,
The
gosh.
Foot Clan is destroying the city.
Do not destroy my childhood, man. Do not destroy my childhood. You evil, evil man. Hush. Don't do it. Do not do it.
This episode of Sesame Street is brought to you by the letter C for Cowabunga.
Whoop. There we go.
Splinter loves
Oh.
you.
Revenge is sweet, my friend.
I
Very,
know.
very sweet.
It is a dish best served cold. And
Yeah,
in
exactly.
Texas right now, it is very cold.
Either or.
Let's go and get a commercial.
Yeah, that'd be nice. All right. So, oh my gosh. Yes, that was funny. Oh,
Anyway, yes,
Yes.
Elmo, my most hated character in the Muppet history, doesn't get to speak in this, and that's why it's my first slide.
nice. Very nice. Oh my gosh. My second like it goes to special cameos. Freaking Jim Henson shows up. I didn't know this. He didn't tell me.
Why would I spoil this?
Of course not.
I wish I had to known before I put it on the list, but because I watched that Nostalgia Critic review, I knew it was coming.
Yeah.
Wasn't
So
sure
I'm-
where it was, but
so
I knew
I'm-
it was coming.
So I'm watching the film and like it's getting towards the end. It's slidey da da. And then they pan to the kitchen. It's like, oh my gosh, it's Jim Henson. Because you never see this guy actually act. Except for this.
Well, he's got cameo appearances. He does have a scene in I don't remember which one of the three movies we've already reviewed where he's on a carriage. Might have
Oh,
been Great
that's
Muppet
right.
Caper.
That's right, he is.
Yeah, because Frank Oz has a cameo in that same one where Gonzo says, "Hey, maybe I can get a nice picture of you and your wife." "Oh, my wife's not feeling well." "Oh, maybe she should have stayed at home." And he says, "My wife is at home." Oh.
But just seeing that, because there again, one of my childhood favorite movies of all time, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie, with that being one of his last projects he ever did, and to see him in this movie was fantastic because Jim Henson is a freaking tour de force when it comes to puppetry and all
Mhm.
that. But I found it just very enjoyable seeing him in the kitchen with what's the dog's name?
Sprocket.
Sprocket the dog. And I just found that a very enjoyable moment to see Jim Henson not doing this number.
So he does a lot of that too.
and talking as a frog.
Hi ho.
But I just found that incredibly delightful and brought a smile on my face. I'm like, I literally did the dog head turn. It's like, what? Did I see that right? But yeah, that was a wonderful surprise, and thank you so much for not spoiling that. Thank you.
Welcome.
Because I know you said something at the end.
Yes,
there was something
there's
at
something
the end.
cool at the end.
So yeah, it was Jim Henson's this little cameo at the end of this film. Very pleasant, and just nice to just have them in the film. So that's my second.
So this is my second like also.
Okay.
It was nice seeing him because you don't get to see him often.
No.
There are some interviews that he did on, like, I think it was the Tonight Show,
Mm-hmm.
where he is there with Kermit and you can actually see him performing Kermit next to himself.
Nice.
And there's some things like that, but you just don't get to see him that often, especially this era, because this is like just a year or two prior to his suicide, or not suicide, his death. I don't remember how he died.
Yeah, I think he died of cancer.
Yeah, it was cancer. Sorry. But this is like a year or two before he died. And most people don't know this, I don't think, but he was already on the verge of selling not just the Muppets, but all of the Jim Henson Company to Disney at this time. And it fell through right after his death. And then the family decided they didn't want to sell, but they sold the Muppets because they needed money. But beside the point, that's also the reason why Disney made the Muppet Christmas Carol and Muppet Treasure Island in production with them, because they already had these deals in place, and Disney was being incredibly nice helping them get these two movies out.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is I love his cameo in this. It's a nice, like, 3-second cameo. It's meant to be. It's like all Christmas specials. You have some people who just show up for a second, and it's just important that they showed up, and that's what this is. But I had, to some degree, if you're a kid, you're gonna go, "Who's the old guy? Where did he show up?" So yeah, I do like that Jim Henson is in this. It's a nice little cameo, and it's nice. It's nice and heartwarming that he was able to be in this. The father figure of this whole Muppet family. So what's your third like?
My third like would be the interaction between, I thought it was absolutely hysterical how they did this, was Big Bird, of how big this character is. You put him in a kitchen scene with the Swedish chef.
Yeah. After the turkey sells Big Bird out.
That was
funny.
That was funny.
Because the Swedish chef's been trying to catch the turkey all night long, and finally the turkey says, "Okay, I'll confess. I am the Christmas turkey. But why go for the small meat when you can, why don't you just take a look at this?" And he opens the door, and there's Big Bird. It's like, and you just see the Swedish chef's mouth open in shock. It's like, ooh. And yeah, then.
Yeah, absolutely hysterical. I'd be like, it's like, like you said, the turkey sells Big Bird out, and it is absolutely hysterical. The Big Bird, like, you've got this enormous figure, like, turning around in this scene with the Swedish chef who's trying to figure out, how do I do this with this bird?
Yeah.
Like, how do I make this bird into a meal?
How do I cook this bird?
And it's just, it's a very funny interaction. And I found it very funny, very cute.
And it's very heartwarming.
It is.
There's a lot of heartwarming in this.
Yeah, agreed. There is. So, yeah. Just that whole scene with the Swedish chef and Big Bird. And I don't know how they pulled it off with this. They do a massive set in order to get this, Big Bird. He's a big bird.
Well, let me help put it into perspective about what we're actually seeing here.
Yeah.
Big Bird is performed with Carol Spinney in the Big Bird costume.
Yes.
Especially at this time, because he would have been young enough he could still do that.
He'll
have one hand reach pretty much straight in the air, controlling Big Bird's mouth, with another hand controlling whichever wing is closer to the camera. Swedish Chef is performed by two actors. One performing the mouth, and two real life human hands.
Yep.
Now, if you ever see pictures of Swedish Chef and he's got standard Muppet hands, that's because there is when they're doing like the still shots, they do have a version of Swedish Chef that has regular Muppet hands. But when he's actually doing a lot of the performance, he has real human hands. And I believe in the early days, it was actually Jim Henson who did the hands.
Really?
And it's his wedding ring that is still ends up being replicated on every new person who does Swedish Chef. Because the Swedish Chef is married and has a ring. Because Jim Henson had a ring. And didn't take it off during the shoot.
Got it.
So you've got one guy who has to be standing on, the standard human platforms that they have around the sets. To be very careful because to make room for the areas where the Muppet performers are sticking their hands up through the floor. And there's two of them that have to be very close to. There's two people who get like very close into where Big Bird and Swedish Chef are. And it's like, wow, that had to take some logistics that I can't even fathom. Keeping all three of the people running that without crashing in and falling over and killing each other.
Yeah. Agreed. Completely agreed. Yeah, that scene was absolutely hysterical, and definitely how they pulled it off was just wow.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my number 3.
My third and this is just going to sum up what I love about this film is this is just a happy, warm, fun time.
Agreed.
This is the message of this is in the first song. We need a little Christmas. It's about getting together with your family, whether it's your actual family or your found family, and having a big happy time. Enjoying each other's company. That is what this movie is trying to get across. And, it starts off like every musical number is a group number. I mean, there's like one or two, maybe two at the most, where it's less than 5 characters. And one of them is the one between Swedish Chef and Big Bird.
Yes.
And that's just a kind of a duet, which is hilarious with the Swedish Chef singing his part in the faux Swedish. But it's about being together, and it comes right. And my favorite part of this is still the medley of Christmas carols at the very end. Exactly. It's a good 10-minute section, of them just singing Christmas carols. And you're just allowed to exist in this warm, fuzzy moment, and you're wanting to sing right along with them. And then of course they give gifts to each other, which is nice. But I mean, it's just even the spot where they go down to the Fraggle Rock area, and they explain Christmas to the Fraggles, which they didn't know at Christmas, but they had something similar because they give this rock pebble to each other back and forth. And one of them finally gives it to Robin, and then Robin gives it to, was it Fozzie?
I think it was Fozzie.
And it was just, all of that was just so, it's just so sweet. And I left, and when the video went to credits, I was just smiling and happy. And that's what this is. It's just a good, as much as we need meat when it comes to entertainment.
Yeah.
Big, dense stuff like what we just got through 3 weeks of with Studio Ghibli month. As great and amazing as that was, as good a full steak dinner as that was, sometimes it's nice just to have something sweet and probably not healthy for you, but tastes good and makes you feel warm and fuzzy inside.
Agreed.
Actually, I'm not even going to say it's that. This is, I know you hate soup.
Not the biggest fan of it, yes.
But let me give you my example here.
Okay.
All this week, or all the weekend over Thanksgiving, we had these big turkey dinners with the mashed potatoes, all this, all those your standard Thanksgiving trimmings. And that was good and all, but on Sunday for lunch, we had a soup.
Okay.
My mom makes this great soup, and I've got the recipe, and I think I've even made it for the singles group once.
Okay.
The sausage, bacon, and bean soup.
Oh yeah.
It is my favorite soup. If Studio Ghibli month was that nice big turkey dinner with all the fixings,
Mm-hmm.
this was that sausage, and this movie was that sausage, bacon, and bean soup that tastes good,
Mm-hmm.
is filling, and makes me feel warm and happy.
Okay. Fair enough.
That's just what this was for me. This was a nice bowl of soup on a cold day
Gotcha.
of my favorite soup.
Nice. Very nice.
And that's my third like.
Okay.
Which brings us to dislikes.
Ooh.
What's your first dislike?
My first dislike of this film.
Besides the fact the Muppet Babies were in it.
Oh, I had no problem because they were in it. They were here and gone.
Yeah, our version
I
was like a second.
Okay, it's there, gone. We're good.
I'm not kidding. As much as I watched Muppet Babies as a kid, and I didn't have quite the adverse reaction to it you've got.
Right.
But I was like, that was when that part started. I was like, this is the part I'm not looking forward to because it's gonna be, because this is not the most. Muppet Babies was not the most well written stuff of the Muppets. That's just plainly obvious. It's just what it was. What it was. And the fact that it's over and done in a second, it's like, thanks, that's all I needed from this. But yeah, what is your actual first dislike since it's not the Muppet Babies that even daring to show their faces?
My first is like, we are not going to get a new release of this film. We're not going to get on Blu-ray. We're not going to get digital.
It will never happen. The best we've got is the 4K super sample that we watched.
Yeah, exactly. That's it.
And you can tell the backgrounds that it is an upscale.
Yeah. And it's sad when you get something that, like Drew described it as like a very nice warm meal that you really enjoy and you want to enjoy again, but you just don't have the opportunity to do that with like the circumstances in which this movie is stuck in limbo now. And you can only watch it on, like we watched it on YouTube. So I'd be like, for me, I would be like, if it was up to me, I would go buy this on Blu-ray somewhere, but obviously, sadly, you can't.
Yeah.
So that just made me a little sad and just like, come on, guys, come together. Come on, let's do this. But probably won't happen.
Agreed.
So that's my number one dislike. Is like, we're not going to get another, unless like somehow Shout Factory gets a hold of it and can do like some kind of mumbo jumbo.
It'd have to be some weird third party deal because they'd have to negotiate rights from all three companies, and even then
you couldn't get the full version of it anyway.
It depends on if the full version, uncut version, even exists anywhere.
That's true.
That's the other thing, because this was made in '87. It was probably been shot on videotape. It looks like it was shot on videotape.
Yeah, it was shot on videotape.
So I mean, you're not going to get any better quality than DVD, to be honest.
True.
Assuming that one of the three companies somehow has this in their archives and it's still in good shape and it's not just been left to deteriorate, there's no good way we're going to get this ever outside of what's available on YouTube, which is sad.
Yeah, agreed.
This is fun. This is a nice, fun show.
What is your first dislike?
My only dislike, if we're being honest.
Okay.
This is the only thing I had in dislikes. I tried to think of two more. This is the only thing I could come up with. Even if you take away the scenes we know were cut short for our version we watched, a lot of plot lines that they introduce here are rushed and completed like within the same scene that the plot line was introduced in.
Yeah.
Like Ma Bear going on her vacation for Christmas, going down to California. By the time the Muppets show up, she's like, "Oh, well, I guess I'm not going anywhere. I don't care that I wasted all this money."
Yeah,
that's gone. Oh, Doc, he complains throughout the entire film. It's like, this was supposed to be my quiet weekend. I say all through the film. After 15 minutes, he's like, "Well, I guess I'm hanging out with y'all. This looks like fun." It's like, you're not anyway.
Yeah, I get it.
I get it, but it's like, and I get it. We only have I think the total runtime for the uncut version is 52 minutes.
Yeah.
So I get we don't have a lot of time, and this is not meant to be a serious plot-driven thing.
Right.
And almost every plot thing in here is a joke.
Yep.
For intensive purposes, but it's like at the longest running plot line in this is Miss Piggy taking her good sweet time getting to the cabin by doing all these other things and then getting caught in the storm. But even that was just a series of running gags.
Yeah.
That's like like I said, it's the only closest thing to continuity throughout the whole thing. But and I get that's not the point. I do get that's not the point. But it's just like I feel like if you're going to introduce a lot of these different plot lines, granted you do have to give all your characters agency, at least all the main ones. At least let them complete it before you just drop it. Because it seems like so many of them, they got dropped, at least on our version, seemingly off screen.
Yeah.
I mean, we still don't know what happened to the snowman.
True.
Last we saw him, he was outside saying, "It's cold out here." That was the last time we saw him.
Yeah.
Granted, he'll melt when the snow melts, but still.
Yeah.
I don't care how magic he is. But yeah, it's just all the little plot lines in this that they bring up, they are just gone almost sometimes, like I said, within the same scene they were introduced in. Strangely enough, I think this is going to sound like heresy, mind you. Star Wars Holiday Special, I think, does better with its plot lines than this does. And actually letting them complete, letting them have some gravitas and some weight. Now, admittedly, it's a lot of skits with one main storyline.
Yeah.
So it's a lot easier to work with. This feels like about 30 skits crammed together. And the only reason we say it's a plot line is because there were skits that played in between the beginning of it and the end of it.
Fair.
So
fair.
Yeah, it just feels like a lot of things that should have caused more tension. And I hate to say in real life, but basically, if this sort of stuff actually happened, it would cause more tension. It cause a lot of interest.
Yeah,
stuff we don't get to see the Muppets or really the Sesame Street characters get to do a lot of, where they actually have these fun, not say fun, but actually get at each other's throats.
Okay,
I kind of wanted to see that at some point. But we never get there, and it's like everyone's just super happy at the end. And yeah, I get that's the point, but it's just like I was wanting this to have just a little bit more weight to it. I guess that's all it comes down to. And I could see plenty of ways they could have done it, and they dropped the ball every time. Like I said, I get it. I just wish there was just a little bit more oomph to it. Do you have any more dislikes?
I'll just jump off yours. I completely agree with you that there again, this story is very rushed. The plot lines kind of go, they're here and they're done, and so many of them are dropped. But I would agree that this is a special. It's under an hour, so you don't have a whole lot of wiggle room to work with.
Yeah,
and
especially when you're combining 4 different franchises into one show. I mean, the Fraggles barely get any screen. You only get like maybe 5, maybe 10 minutes total screen time.
It's a lot quicker than the Muppet Babies in this version, anyway.
Yeah, but that was funny.
That was funny.
That was hilarious.
That was funny. But yeah, I do agree with you. Be like, yeah, this if they could have took their time and like flesh out the story a little bit more and had our characters interact more, it would have probably been a more fluid story. But there again, this was this is special for ABC,
right?
Only time we're gonna be able to do this.
I get that. I mean, it's just I've seen a couple of the other Muppet specials, plus Muppet Christmas Carol, and I've seen what they can do even with the limitations they have with such a big cast. And I just was like, could you be more like these other things? Be a little bit more like all this other stuff. And it's like, well, it's still fine. It is what it is. I hate bashing this at all, to be honest. But if I'm gonna say there's something I just wish was better, it's just like I wish more of these plot lines had a little more weight behind them. If you're gonna do it, if you're gonna have I think it could have been better if they would have maybe not had 2 or 3 of these plot lines and then just focused on maybe 1 or 2.
Okay.
The piggy one and Swedish Chef trying to get the turkey.
Got it.
Because those are the 2 main ones throughout the whole thing, to be honest. They maybe kind of a couple of other ones, but just make it more skit-like instead of another plot line that's going to weave throughout this film and ultimately not go anywhere.
Agreed.
Anyway, sorry, I interrupted you.
No, you're good. I completely agree with you on that. Yeah, if this movie would have had been able to breathe a little more as a story, I would agree with you that this be like it would have made it a little more cohesive and would have brought the story together. But there again, understanding limitations, but is what it is.
And granted, writing Christmas specials is hard.
Yeah.
Because you got to have all these big they're all almost all these are series of skits. Most of them they lean into it by saying, look how silly and goofy and obviously tacked on this character's appearance is.
Yes.
That's how a lot of them cheat at it. This is actually trying to produce a actual cohesive story, and it gets close. It gets really close. And it's just
Got it.
Ultimately drops the ball, but it's still I like it. It's still fun.
All right. So yeah, I agree. That is my second as well. Like I just said, I don't need to repeat myself again.
Yeah. Sorry, I keep interrupting.
You're good. All right. So I don't have a third. So going to score.
Let's go into our summary. What are you rating this thing?
Oh, this is a 9. This is solid
Really?
9. I enjoyed it. It's like you said, it's a nice sweet thing that you can just sit and enjoy. Throw it on YouTube, find the longer cut of this if you can.
Yeah. Definitely find the longer cut.
I wish there was a way that we could, tell these companies like, hey, we want this, get together, because the fandom has been able to rally together, get things done that the big corporations wouldn't do. And I really wish that they would, kind of put their differences aside, come together, put this on where people can watch it, because it's really good. And there again, there's not a whole lot of meat on this, so but there again, it's a nice little cameo. It's a nice little movie that we can watch and enjoy. So yeah, I'll give it a 9.
Yeah, I'm actually giving it an 8.
Really?
Yeah, it is good. There is a part of me that can't, even though I know what this is supposed to be. There is a part of me that can't really rate something that's kind of this not cheesy is the wrong word. There is an element of this that is a TV budget that it does not rise above.
Agreed.
And I think that's what really is what brings it down. It's like it could be better. I can see so many ways it could be better, even though I do love it for what it is.
Right.
So yeah, that's why I'm giving it an 8. It's like it's not bad. It's just it could be better.
Got it.
Without much work, I think. But at the same time, how are you going to get all of the big Sesame Street and Muppet Show characters together where it doesn't feel like it's rushed and cramped? True. Much like that house was.
Oh, yeah. Very much agreed.
So yeah, that brings us to the end of this review. Next week, we are going to be looking at
The Polar Express.
Yes, a film that will teach us all the meanings of the phrase the uncanny valley.
Boy.
It's not that it's bad. And this is one of those where it's like, that's just one of the issues that this film has. Right. It is a good film. I've seen it a couple times. Have you seen it?
No, I have not.
Okay. But yeah, it's the biggest issue. This is one of those uncanny valleys where the problem is they mocapped characters who didn't need to be mocapped.
Yeah. And plus this is like really, when was the movie come out? 2004.
Yeah. This is like right when CG was really starting to explode.
Yeah. And so they're trying to expand the domain of digital computers.
Yeah.
Or computer generated imagery.
And for some reason deciding that cartoons could not exist in the 3D world, so they go more 2D.
Got it.
They go more trying to be serious, which don't get me wrong, it is still serious, but it's
Yeah.
also trying to match the art style in the book, and it
Yep.
does do that. But anyway,
Gotcha.
there's a reason they dress up the Rusk State Railroad out there as the Polar Express nearly every year. At least
Uh-huh.
I still think they do that.
They
I
do.
hadn't seen that announced yet this year.
No,
but
they're doing it.
okay, I just hadn't seen it. But anyway, join us next week for that. Right, for now, though, we've got to jump into another couple episodes of Star Trek Lower Decks.
Space, the final frontier. These are the voyages of the starship Enterprise. Its 5-year mission: to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life and new civilizations, to boldly go where no man has gone before.
Robotech.
Come on now and set sail for the future. Fly in the sky, oh, the love of the...
I'm sorry, I just love that song.
Of course. Of course.
First
Oh,
episode of
My
tonight
gosh. Yes.
is Mining the Mind's Minds.
That's a tongue twister.
Mining the Mind's Minds.
Mind.
Get it said right in a second. This episode is directed by Phil Mark Sagadraka. I hope I said that right. And written by Brian D. Bradley. In this episode, on a remote science outpost, stone orbs are bringing fantasies to life, while Tendi starts her first day as senior science officer trainee. Guest casting. The guest cast for this one includes Lauren Lapkus as both Jennifer Shrayan and Werewolf Jennifer.
Werewolf Jennifer.
That's how it listed it.
Agreed.
Ben Rogers as Steve Stevens and the patient in sickbay. Carl Tart as Core D and the Borg Snake.
The Borg Snake?
You forgot about the
Did I
Borg
miss this?
The one that shot the basketball at them in the cave?
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right. I was like, what the fudge is going on?
That's the thing about this particular episode. If you have not seen this, everything I've just said sounds like chaos.
It does, and it is.
Paul F. Tompkins as Miglimo, and it just says young someone. I don't remember who. Baron Vaughn as Mayor and Carrie Walgreen as Kearns. And a special guest star for this episode, Susan Gibney as Dr. Leah Brahms, which I'm guessing you have no idea who that
is.
So, the character of Dr. Leah Brahms is a leader in warp field theory and contributed to the development of the Galaxy-class ship's warp drives. That's who the main idea behind this character is. She first appeared in the Next Generation episode Booby Trap as a hologram that Chief Engineer Geordi LaForge accidentally creates in the process of trying to figure out how to have the Enterprise escape an energy trap. Basically, every time the Enterprise got stuck in this one location, and every time the Enterprise would do something to kind of, start the engines to move out,
right?
The whatever was causing this would suck all the energy out of the drive and keeping the Enterprise from moving.
Oh,
that's what they were trying to get past. Turns out that the hologram program is a little too good, as holographic Brahms and Geordi start to develop feelings for each other throughout the episode. By the end of the episode, when Geordi has to turn off the program, it plays like two lovers saying goodbye to each other. If Geordi would have been smart, he would have deleted this program. However, in the Next Generation episode Galaxy's Child, which was in the following season,
Okay.
the real Dr. Leia Brahms comes on board to study the Enterprise, to study the engine modifications Geordi has made over the years.
Oh.
As the Enterprise is heading through an asteroid field, they get attacked by a spaceborne life form. Defending themselves, the Enterprise accidentally ends up killing this life form, which turns out to be pregnant. And after performing the equivalent of a C-section to save the child decides that the Enterprise is its mother and attaches itself to the ship, feeding off the warp drive.
Oh, fun.
As Geordi and Brahms attempt to figure out how to quote unquote sour the milk to make it disengage, Leah comes across the holodeck program from Booby Trap.
Oh.
And you can imagine how that went. Specifically, when Geordi comes in and finds Dr. Brahms facing herself, it is the scene from her final appearance in Booby Trap where she says, Geordi, when you are working on I am in these engines. When you are working with them, you are working with me. And something to that effect. It's like, oh wow, this is like the worst place you could have come in on.
Like, I think I'll be like, Geordi, like, beam me up, Scotty. Now.
Yeah. So yeah, that's who Dr. Leia Brahms is.
Gotcha.
Also in the episode, we see a Kuku Khan, the flying snake monster.
Okay.
Which previously appeared in the animated series episode House Sharper Than a Serpent's Tooth.
Okay.
Fun fact, if you've seen Black Panther Wakanda Forever, Kuku Khan is the name that the Mayan people that Namor's from call him because they believe him to be a representation of their god. They are based off the same source material. If you're trying to figure that one out.
Gotcha.
The psychic minds that appear in this episode produced a similar effect as the technology used on the Shore Leave planet from the original series episode Shore Leave and the Star Trek animated series sequel Once Upon a Planet, as well as the fantastical alien illusions experienced aboard Deep Space Nine in their episode If Wishes Were Horses. This episode features the first appearance of the Excelsior class USS Hood and the Excelsior class in general in animated form. The USS Hood first appeared in the Next Generation at premiere Encounter at Farpoint. The appearance of Cordy is the first reappearance of the Zaldan race since the Next Generation Season 1 episode Coming of Age, which aired 34 years previously. This episode references several past incidents experienced by the lower deckers aboard the Cerritos, including Boimler and Rutherford's descriptions of that Klingon who took off with the ship when he was drunk from Envoys, the time they tussled with Mugatos in Mugato Gumato, the 2 times that they tussled with the Packleds, No Small Parts and Wedge Dudge, the time they scared the crap out of that drill instructor in I Excretus, and the later description by the Carlsbad lower deckers to the time the Cerritos lower deckers stood strong in an alien trial, which was later clarified as more of a party in Veritas. This episode included the use of a hand phaser to heat rocks, much like was accomplished by Sulu and was first seen in the original series episode, The Enemy Within. Stevens mentioned that when he was turned to stone, he declared brain dead, but saw a koala sitting on a black mountain. This is a reference to the episode's Moist Vessel, where it mentions the universe is balanced on the back of a giant smiling koala. Remember the one the guy was trying to ascend, but was actually faking it. But then he does ascend, and we see him. He says the universe is ruled by a giant koala. Why does he smile? What does he know? You don't remember this?
I remember this. Wow.
Where it switches the universe is balanced on the back of a giant smiling koala. And we'll always have Tom Paris, where Shax mentioned it during the explanation to Rutherford about how he came back to life.
Yeah.
Which we never got a full explanation for, and I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
That's the end of the trivia for this one. What are your thoughts on this episode?
Oh my gosh. I was like, this, I there again, limited exposure to all of Star Trek.
Yeah.
Trek, right?
Trek.
Star Trek.
There's an E, not an A.
Okay. Star Trek. Oh my gosh. Either or, moving on. Moving on here, people. Before I embarrass myself even more with Star Trek stuff.
Moving on.
Moving on. Oh man, that's just the fact that they encounter these rocks that will make you like your deepest fantasy come to life and
That's
turn
how it
you
starts
to
anyway.
Huh?
That's how it starts
That's how it
anyway.
starts anyway. Then it turns into a nightmare, which I
I
found
es-
hysterical.
I especially loved the Klingon clowns.
Oh
With
gosh,
the patless arms.
those were funny. Those were funny. The part that got me more was Tindy trying to be assertive or trying to buck up to the captain. It's like, hey, I just found it very interesting. I found that more interesting than the I guess you would call the main plot.
I guess this is actually, I think, one of the weaker episodes this season.
Yeah, I would agree.
I'll admit, because it's the one that's the most off the wall.
Yeah.
Well, outside of maybe the next one. But yeah, I see what you're saying, how Tindy's trying to be more assertive so that she can try and be a senior science officer would be a more interesting story.
Yeah, and also her fact to be like she's the one who picks up on the transponder.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, there's a weird frequency going on here, and everybody's just ignoring her. And she finally just is like enough and just smashes this thing, revealing the
power source. The power source.
The power
inside.
source. Where these two people are communicating, or they're working together to get more information from Starfleet.
The rock-based life forms and the outpost scientists.
I thought that was clever. The end of it was great. The psychedelic, all the monsters are trying to kill you kind of thing. Gonna turn you into stone. That was funny, but the Tindy story was better. Was more better.
Yeah.
Was a little more fleshed out. It was a little more intriguing. But yeah, I enjoyed the episode. It's a little weak with its. I think it's A plot. Its B plot's better. If they would have stuck more with the B plot, I thought it would have been better.
Yeah. I agree with you there,
right.
Actually. I don't think this was the best way to use Dr. Leia Brahms' character, even though I get the joke. It being a reference to how she is, her first appearance, basically.
Right.
And that apparently a lot of engineers have the same type of fantasies, I guess.
Weird.
Because that's the entire reason Rutherford had a fantasy on her, because Geordi had a fantasy of her. It's like, yeah, these are different people.
Yeah.
I get maybe he could have a crush, but still.
It's like, oh yeah, we all have our crushes on this character. I'm like, really?
Yeah.
Just because she created the warp core?
She didn't create the warp core. She just made it better, basically.
Made it better.
I really don't know a good way to explain it, because she's just a
Wow.
leader in the field, and she's the one who technically created the Enterprise's warp core.
Yeah.
But so yeah, I don't really think using the character in this way was the best way to handle using her character. Might have been funny if Rutherford had to deal with her on the Cerritos, because maybe the Cerritos is using the Enterprise D's design, since it's a newer ship than the D, and so maybe it's using technology that was made for the D, for the Galaxy class. But and maybe it causes trouble with the California class.
Maybe.
So maybe Rutherford would have to work with her on that, and maybe that could cause some issues and problems. That might have been a better use of her character, other than, oh, I'm just a fantasy dream sequence thing.
Yeah.
And granted, I bet you that the actress had a lot of fun playing this scene. I almost guarantee you. It's just, I kind of wish. There's sometimes the jokes get in the way on the show, even though it's meant to be a comedy.
Right.
They're just sometimes it's like, you could tell a better story that is still funny if you just work a little bit better at making the coherent story first. But yeah, I agree with you that Tindy's story I think is done better in this. And maybe they just couldn't think of any other good jokes besides the idea that um, in reality, Dr. Ta'ana is actually her mentor instead of Miglimo.
Yeah.
Even though Miglimo is her official mentor.
Yeah.
But then who likes Miglimo, if we're being honest?
True.
He is Paul F. Tompkins, so comparing him to Shorty does make a lot of sense.
That is true.
But it's like if Shorty was actually intelligent.
Very true.
Which really explains a lot about that character. But yeah, this is just this is not my favorite episode of season 3. I do think it's the weakest one in season 3, but it is just a nice little fun episode.
Agreed.
You ready to hit the next one?
Yeah, let's do that.
Next episode, Room for Growth, which was directed by Jason Zurich and written by John Cochran. In this episode, Mariner, Boimler, and Tendi clash with their arch rivals, Delta Shift. Meanwhile, the Cerritos engineers go on mandatory relaxation leave. And that goes about as well as you think it will. Asif Ali plays Asif in this one. Mary Holland, it plays Taz. Charlotte Nick Dow played Meredith and Moxie. Artemis Pebdani played Caravitas. And, of course, Paul Scheer played Andorithio Billups, and Carl Tart reprised his role as Kayshawn. Which I actually liked a lot of his sayings in this one from his language. They were funny to me.
Gotcha.
Getting into the trivia for this. 2 additional background characters introduced during season 1 are given names for the first time in this episode, that being Fedorov and Moxie. The opening scene where Captain Freeman is possessed by a mask and turns parts of the Cerritos into an ancient temple is a direct reference to Star Trek The Next Generation episode Masks, which is about as stupid as you think it is from what you saw in this episode, except it's Data that gets possessed by the masks.
Yeah.
It's a weird episode.
Agreed, it is.
Oh, you've seen it?
What? This episode? Yes.
No, Masks.
No, I haven't.
That's what I'm saying. That's the weird episode.
Oh, okay. I thought
this is referencing that episode.
Yeah, this is a weird episode too.
Yeah, but I mean the whole thing with the masks is what I was referring to.
Gotcha.
Taz and another unidentified masseuse are the 3rd and 4th Adosians to appear in Star Trek after Eric's from Star Trek The Animated Series and the Division 14 medical specialist from the Lower Decks episode Much Ado About Boimler. The Gallardonian, a member of Momal species, a member of Miglimo's species, and a member of Addix's species. Give you an idea of how many species have not been named yet.
Right.
All species first introduced in Lower Decks appear aboard the Dove. It is confirmed in this episode that Dr. Ta'ana at one point had a tail like all other Caitians.
Oh, gosh.
Earlier in her Starfleet career, she lost it in an unspecified incident.
Oh, my gosh. That scene. That entire scene. I'm like, oh, my gosh.
Last but not least, one of the Doppler emissaries' duplicates, skeletal remains, can be seen when Mariner, Boimler, and Tendi first enter the area under hydroponics, suggesting at least one duplicate was unaccounted for. Well, there's not a lot of oxygen down there, so I get it.
Oh my gosh. Tinley. I like Tinley as a character more and more because she's a little more assertive than she used to be. Oh my gosh. This episode and the last episode and this episode, it's just more like, okay, you like Tinley more.
Yeah. This is another, we also get to see another instance of Bold Boimler in this.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Except now we know him as Anti-Grav Boy.
That was great until it's like, oh, it's the deflector dish. Crap.
Yeah. So let's talk about the holodeck scene.
Oh gosh, why? I understand these two are a couple. I get it.
Yeah, this has been the running, not the ring out, but this has been going on since somewhere in season 2 is where it started.
It did.
Where she realized she actually had feelings for Shax. Probably the episode where Shax came back.
Yeah,
for being honest. But yeah, that I love it. I love this moment in there where they're robbing the bank.
Yes, that's absolutely like Bonnie and Clyde all
Yeah.
all day. I thought it was hilarious, and she's like, it's like, oh, turn off all like
Turn off the safety protocols.
It's like, hold on,
and
close program.
and that is not what makes him pause the program. It's mostly like, we never talk anymore. It's like, like I died. We haven't talked since.
Oh
Here,
my
I'll
gosh.
I'll tell you a secret. Nobody knows how I lost my tail.
Oh my gosh, Tinley! It's like, I've gotta know. It's on Stars.
It's like, I'm curious. It's like, nope, we don't want to find this out.
Nope.
But I do need to make a comment on one thing, because this is another instance where money is brought up on Star Trek.
Mm-hmm.
Except this is money from the past.
Yeah.
So there's been a thought that in Star Trek, the Federation does not have any money.
Okay.
I disagree with this. Just because it's not seen on screen doesn't mean there's not money.
Sure.
For one thing, there has to be some sort of exchange rate to the Ferengi's gold press latinum, since that is a thriving currency that pretty much everyone who wants to deal with the Ferengi has to be able to use.
Yeah.
And you can't replicate this stuff anywhere. That's part of the reason why it's actually still worth something.
Mm-hmm.
There is nowhere in Star Trek that actually states that they don't have currency of some kind. The closest that you get is in Star Trek First Contact.
Okay.
When I know you've seen the movie, right?
Yeah, I've seen it.
Okay, you know the scene where Picard and Lily are working their way through the ship, and she asks, I had a hard enough time finding enough titanium just to build a 4-meter cockpit. How much did this thing cost?
Mm-hmm.
And Picard says, the accumulation of money is no longer the driving force in our lives.
Mm-hmm.
People have used that quote to say that there's not money in Star Trek. That is not what Picard said.
No.
Picard said the pursuit and accumulation of that money is not the driving force in our lives. That may be true for Picard, because Picard's family is rich, because they have a very old vineyard, and he probably never had to care about money. And plus, Picard's an idealist, and he has a chance to teach the ideals, or his ideals from the 24th century to the lower 21st century. And maybe this is where the concept of the quote unquote evolved human that supposedly exists in Star Trek starts. This is actually proven true, but anyway, not important.
But wouldn't that be like understanding very little about Star Trek?
There's still money.
There's still money, but wouldn't he be breaking the what is that code that they can't break?
You're thinking of Prime Directive,
Prime
but
Directive.
technically that doesn't count here, because it's still the human race. What comes into play is the temporal Prime Directive, which means you can't change the past. Problem is, by that point, past had already been changed, so he's trying to change to correct the problems in the past. And it's not the Enterprise that caused the problems; it was the Borg sphere.
True.
That's what changed the past.
I gotcha.
I like what Bobo says in our chat. He says it's kind of like saying money is evil, but that's not the case. It's the love of money that is the problem. And that's actually how it's written in the Bible. We always say it's like money is the root of all evil. It's actually the love of money is the root of all kinds of evil.
Yeah. It's that driving force that
it's
like,
greed.
oh, I just want to make money. That's your driving force.
Money is not evil. It's just money above all else is evil.
Exactly.
So So I this is a thing that's always going to come up because people are always saying Star Trek doesn't have money. I'm thinking that's stupid. Why else would Cisco's dad have a restaurant?
Yeah.
Just because he likes to cook? Do you realize how long it takes to cook? Run a restaurant? Mm-hmm. You are there all night. You don't do that just because it's fun. You do that because you're getting a paycheck.
Exactly.
Even if it's a very big paycheck because you're the manager.
Yeah.
You still have to be up there during like the worst part of the day. So anyway.
Yeah.
Sorry. Had to get that off my chest because
gotcha.
That topic is one that bugs me.
I gotcha.
Anyway. But yeah, that scene is one of my favorites there in the bank. And I love how Boimler and Mariner don't even know are not even sure what it is. They don't even know how to pronounce the word bank. It's like, yeah, we got all this paper currency that has an arbitrary value to it. When you think about it, all money is arbitrary value.
That is true.
It's
It's
not
not
really
backed up by
it's
anything.
not backed up by anything. So, I can't really disagree with them.
Yeah, agreed.
But anyway, I've been talking a lot. You talk.
It is interesting that it's like, oh yeah, the night crew is gonna steal all the glory, so they got to go and
Well,
beat their own punch.
there's a lottery for new rooms that have opened up, and they think that there are 4 rooms on deck one that are available,
but it's only 1 room on deck 4,
which makes a lot more sense than 4 rooms on deck 1, since the only thing on deck 1 should be the bridge.
Yeah, that is
It
true.
is traditionally the only thing on deck 1 on like every other ship,
True.
except for the Defiant, because it only had 5 decks.
True.
And they actually tactically designed that ship so that the bridge was sunken into the superstructure. But anyway,
Either or, be like, I do like kind of like the last episode. It's like, okay, they're on this little adventure, and hold on, what is the side, the B story to this? Because I am
Rutherford. Okay, technically, them going after the room is the B story.
Yeah, okay.
The A story is,
the spa.
is the spa.
The spa, that's right. I
That's
totally forgot about that.
technically the A story. And I love how the engineers are fine, really. I mean, they've been overworked, but that's just because they
It's
haven't
just the
had time
captain.
to stop. It's the captain who's gone nuts.
And I understand,
the
like,
black
stress
man.
can get to you, but I'm like, okay, Cap, you gotta de-stress a little bit. And the little Deus Ex Machina, they just come up with a device that like literally puts Dove out of business.
Right. It's like, I need this destroyed. But why? This thing is all on us. Like, get rid of this now. It's like, yeah, because then we'll actually have to work.
Yeah, exactly.
But I love all of their the things they show in there that were supposed to help de-stress, like the puppy room.
Oh yeah.
The cat room for the deviants. There's no judgment. It's like, I'm one of those deviants.
You're not kidding.
And then
Puppies rule, dogs, cats drool.
Yeah, I disagree. And then the room where the Klingon is just killing it, is just breaking everything. It's like, technically he's gone over his time, but we're all scared to go in there and stop it.
Yeah, you think?
It's like, I bet you are. That was all.
Yeah,
great.
that was
It's like,
fun.
Quick, increase the puppies. We can't, sir. We've run out of them. We even threw some bunnies in there, and it's not helping.
It was fun. It was, to me, it reminded me of Star Trek, not Star Wars on episode 2, Camino. Thank you. It's for some reason that just reminded me of that. Minus not being a clone facility, but more of
This is a
relaxation.
spa. Yeah.
That's just what it reminded me of for some reason. But I did enjoy the episode. I enjoyed more the B story to it. And of course, our characters don't win. And it's there again, it's all miscommunication, or it's the like where I think it's Mariner, they start talking about how like where they're gonna be in the next, couple of years.
Yeah.
This character's gonna be here, this character here. Mariner's probably gonna be kicked out of Starfleet at this point. And Boiler's probably gonna be dead somewhere.
I want to comment on Mariner being kicked out of the service, but I'm not. But
Got it. Got it.
I do want to point one other cool little thing out that my trivia didn't show, but the fact that the way the engineers relax is by doing engineering. That has been a running gag since the original series with Scotty.
Got it.
Every chief engineer tends to prefer relaxing by reading one of their technical journals. This is not a good Scotty, I don't think.
No.
Anyway, let's not going to get into that. But yeah, that's just I loved the continuation of that running gag.
Yeah.
It's like how with some very few exceptions, most of the good doctors are cranky.
Agree.
I'm still waiting for Dr. Ta'ana to say something like, "You fool, I'm a doctor, not a such and such." Or he's dead, Captain. I'm still waiting for that because it's like those are the traditional lines. Grant they're TOS lines, but still. Anyway. Yeah, I always keep an ear out for those.
Yeah. But yeah, I thought like they're interesting episodes.
Other things I keep an ear out for, the number 47, which we've not seen a lot of.
47.
47.
Okay.
The most common number in Star Trek.
All right. Okay. Well, that'll be a discussion for another episode.
If it ever comes up again.
Exactly.
So yeah, that's going to be the end of this one, I think.
Yep.
Join us next time for the episodes Reflections and Hear All, Trust Nothing.
Okay.
I believe Hear All, Trust Nothing is the episode that takes place on Deep Space Nine.
Oh, okay.
A previous location on the in Star Trek. So join us for that next week with the Polar Express. You got anything to add before we cut out of here?
Welcome to the Christmas train.
In the meantime, this has been Drew.
This is Jacob.
And we'll catch you in the next frame.
You can follow Jacob on his Facebook at Jacob B. Heron. His Facebook page, Jacob's Daily Art Corner, where he tries to draw each and every day. His Instagram at Jacob B. Heron. His Twitter at Jacob Heron. And his Letterboxd at Jacob Heron. You can find Drew on Facebook at Drew Dodgen. His Facebook page, Drew's Photo Bin, to see his photography. His Letterboxd page at GGeorge759. His Twitter at GGeorge759. And Instagram at Drew Dodgen. You can like us on Facebook at the Cellcast Podcast. On Twitch at the Cellcast Gaming. On YouTube at Cellcast. On Twitter at cast_cell. The Cellcast can be found at Apple Podcasts, Google Play Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, or anywhere else fine podcasts are downloaded from. Please rate and review us where you found us, and also on Podchaser. Email us at thecellcastpodcast@gmail.com. The Cellcast is a proud member of both the Pop Americana and Culture Box media networks. For more information, please see the link in the description. Our theme song is Drop and Roll by Silent Partner. And remember, that's Cell with a single L.
Bindi, shindy, vindy, bindi, gobble, 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 gobble.
Oh, brother, we got stuck in another elevator shaft again.